So, a big part of my birth story was I really wanted to have a natural birth. I got it in my head pretty early on. I moved from a big hospital to a small freestanding birth center with midwives and a tub. Like, I really wanted those options there. And also, I didn't really like the idea of a big hospital with Pitocin and pressure and mean nurses and epidurals and timelines and you're only a number type of mentality. And I've heard of bad things happening within hospitals, and I understand people that need to go there to deliver. I was low risk, luckily enough, but of course I understand, and everybody has their own preferences. Geez, oh my goodness, let's not get into that. I just really wanted to do it this way. And I learned a lot about it, and I actually have a whole video on natural birth on this very channel. I'll link it below in the description if you want to see more about my reasoning behind that. But anyway, so Friday, July 24th, we went out to the city. Adam Kokesh was actually in Philly giving a talk. And so I hung out with my Liberty friends the evening before Shelby was born. So that's pretty cool. And it was just really refreshing to hear him talk about these things like freedom and, just stuff that's in his book, because I kind of stepped away from that the last couple months of my pregnancy. So it's just really refreshing to hear those ideas again and really get charged up. So we got home maybe at midnight and I timed my contractions. I didn't really know they were contractions, which I know some girls probably want to punch me for that, but it's hard for a first time mom to know what they really feel like. But looking back on it, they definitely started like Friday afternoon, and that was early labor. But at midnight on the 25th, timed them. They were 6 minutes apart, and we went to bed. I don't think my husband really believed me that this was like gonna happen pretty soon. I took 3 showers that night, hot showers, because that really does help with the pain and it helps kind of slow things down. So that was kind of good too. And then, I was going to do stuff around the house at 5:30 in the morning, but Jason convinced me to come back upstairs and try to sleep in between contractions. So I did that. I would just kind of doze off and then wake up, breathe through the contraction, clutch my body pillow. And at about 7:30, my water broke in the middle of a contraction when I was breathing through it, hugging the pillow. You could hear it. It went boom. And it was so alarming to me. I was like, because once your water breaks, it's go time. That baby's coming out of you within 2 days, tops, 1 day usually. And it was unmistakable. Like, it was so much fluid all over the bed, all over my shorts. I didn't feel like there was anything left inside my belly for the baby. So that was really kind of frazzling. It's not really a word, but I was frazzled. And Jason really helped calm me down, breathe through it, like, just relax. We have time. Don't worry. Call my midwife. And then as soon as my water broke, they started coming a lot quicker, like 3 minutes apart, sometimes a little bit longer, like 4 or 5 minutes apart. But, called her. She told me wait until they're 5 minutes apart. 40 minutes later, I called her back. I'm like, I think I need to come in. Got in at 9:30 a.m. and, my doula met us there. Really good thing to have a doula, especially if you're aiming for natural birth, and especially if you're in a hospital too, because they can kind of remind you of what your vision was and be like a liaison between you and the pushy hospital staff, and kind of be an advocate for you. But anyway, she was there. We kept her anyway, even though we were at a birth center. She was good to have. And I just kind of labored in between. I went back and forth between the tub and the toilet. I just went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. My mom was on the way home from the beach with her boyfriend, Brian, and she got there probably at 11:30, because when I called her when my water broke, she was just leaving, and that was 3 hours away. So she got there, right before I hit transition, even though I didn't know it was transition at the time. Where it started to really, really feel like I had to poop or push or something, like I was making the noises and you could really see it in the face, and it was really hard to fight that urge. I forgot to mention, when we got there, I was 5 centimeters dilated and fully effaced. I was so afraid that we were going to get there, and I was imagining how bad the pain was, even though I feel like it didn't hurt as bad as everybody said it was. I'm glad that I was pretty far along, because sometimes you hear people getting there and they're only 2 centimeters dilated, and it's really discouraging and kind of halts the whole process. But I was really lucky to, be that far along. And I mentioned kind of that it didn't hurt that much. I was really lucky also, I feel like I need to note, because the baby was in the perfect position and I did not experience any back labor at all whatsoever. It was all in my front. And contractions, I didn't scream through them. I really thought I would be like, I don't know, funnier or something in between contractions, like cracking jokes, having a sense of humor, but that didn't happen. I was just very serious, and then once a contraction would come, I would breathe through it in the tub or like by myself on the toilet. Anyway, so after my mom had been there for maybe half an hour to an hour, and I was going through transition for a couple rounds, my midwife checked me and I was ready to push, which another thing is I've heard of people being told not to push, and you're not quite there yet. You're at 9 centimeters. You can't really bear down. I'm so glad that she gave me permission to push, because I don't know how I would have been able to hold that back and fight it. So anyway, I was on the bed and doing like the typical pushing position on my back, which I didn't really think would happen. I kind of wanted to move around a whole lot, but I mean, that position felt good, and it felt like I was making progress, and it didn't hurt, and the baby was coming down slowly but surely. So it's just so funny that I did the typical hospital pose to deliver and push in a birth center. I don't know. But I pushed for an hour and 15 minutes. And let me just tell you, pushing felt so much better than contractions. It felt like I was actually accomplishing something. And it really did feel like the sensation of when you poop. It didn't hurt. It was a lot of pressure, though, and it did require so much energy. In between contractions, I was guzzling water. I was out of breath, panting. One really special thing is that we had a playlist playing in the background. That was really important to me, and every time the playlist would stop, I would say, music, go restart it again. Even if I was in the middle of pushing and contraction, I just really wanted that music to keep going, which was really nice. Oh, we had the lavender going on the diffuser. I mean, we had some good vibes. The lighting was low. It was very, very cool, and my midwife was the best coach ever. My mom was in the corner. She was holding up the GoPro, recording everything, not saying a word, which is what I preferred. And my husband was next to me. He was feeding me water. But yeah, my midwife, amazing coach. Just the encouragement and the excitement when everybody around me saw like the baby's head crowning and kind of building off that energy. Oh man, I loved it. It was so trippy. Oh my God. That's what kept me going, is everybody's reaction. Yeah, and I really thought I was a lot farther along than I was, but oh well. I thought the head was like out when really it wasn't. It wasn't even close. And pushing, I mean, it felt good, but it is a lot to remember to do at once. So Jason was kind of really helping me to remember to do each thing, like pull your legs open and back and breathe, but push with, push with your butt and not your gut. And don't push in your face. Try to keep your face neutral, which is really hard to do. And hold your breath and bear down. Don't breathe through it, because I was used to like breathing through contractions before, so I was still trying to do that when it was time to push, and that wasn't productive at all. So I'm glad he kept reminding me of that. And the baby came out at 1:43 in the afternoon, which apparently, according to the internet, means I love you. And I was like, what? But yeah, the number 1 for I, the number 4 for love, and then the number 3 for you. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the playlist. So she came out. She was on her way out to Blackbird by the Beatles, which is a guitar song that a song my dad liked to play on the guitar, and my dad died eight years ago. So that was really cool that she came out, like she was, coming out to that song. And then the first full song that came on while she was out was Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros' Home, which is a really sweet little song. And it's actually the song that played when Jason and I walked back down the aisle once we were officially married. So it was kind of like a celebratory song for when we were a family of 2. And now it's a celebratory song for when we became a family of 3. So I thought that was really cool and sentimental too. I got to leave that night. By 6 o'clock, I was home. That's one good thing about birth centers is they don't keep you overnight. And I didn't have to pay a dime. Like, insurance picked up everything because this model of care is very, very inexpensive. So that was cool too. I mean, of course, they don't let you go before they've checked everything and make sure that you're okay, baby's okay, things like that. We got breastfeeding off to a good start, skin to skin right away. And I'm telling you, that video from the GoPro is one of my most precious possessions. I'm really glad that we have that all captured. I don't know if I want to show that on here, though. I think I'm just going to keep that for me and my family and friends. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the birth story. I'm trying to remember if I forgot anything significant. Oh, it was like 2 minutes before we realized the gender because we wanted to be surprised and I was in shock. I was in awe. Baby was on top of me and I was just crying. I feel like I was crying, but tears weren't coming out because I was still like in shock. And then maybe like 2 minutes later, my midwife let it slip and she felt bad about it, but I didn't care. She said she's doing really well. And I picked up on it right away. I said, she? And she said, yeah, it's a girl. And she showed me. And my mom's reaction is on the camera and the thing shaking. She's all excited because we all thought it was a boy. So that was a nice little surprise. Yeah, I don't know. It was just funny how we didn't think to check until 2 minutes in. So... yeah, I love my birth story. I think everything happened the way that I wanted to. How long is this? Oh my God, 13 minutes. And I did a lot to prepare for it. I went on spinningbabies.com to make sure the baby was in optimal position. I went to the chiropractor. I drank red raspberry leaf tea. I did a lot of meditation and visualization exercises ahead of time, which I think really helped. And I told myself that I was going to do this. And I think that was a big part of it. I decided I'm going to do it. And I just didn't look back. So, but yeah, there's my birth story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Okay, so I'm editing the vlog now. And I realized I forgot to mention the ring of fire. It's supposed to be the most painful part of childbirth. And I will say that I did feel that. At one point towards the end, it felt like my whole body was just gonna rip right in two. But you know what? That literally only lasted a couple seconds, and I am not exaggerating. It was such a fleeting feeling, and then by the time that it was over, the baby was out, and I forgot how bad it hurt a couple seconds earlier. So yeah, I did feel the ring of fire, but I'm serious. It wasn't as bad as everybody makes it out to be. I can imagine, breaking a bone or passing kidney stones or I don't even know, getting burned might even hurt more than that. And it's like a clean pain. It means something. It's productive. And you're so distracted and excited and running on adrenaline, you can't really give it much thought. You just kind of have to give into it and ride it out like a good wave. And a good midwife like mine will remind you to kind of stay present during the whole experience. Like at one point, she reminded me to reach down and feel the top of my baby's head when she was crowning. And then at the very end, when I was in the midst of the ring of fire, she said, reach down and grab your baby. And I actually helped to pull Shelby up and put her on my chest. So that was really cool. Yeah, I really love that about my midwife. But yeah, the pain was real, but that's okay. It means that you're alive and you're doing this. It should be painful. It's a good pain. All right, that's all I wanted to add.